Yes! Finally, the Mets are back to our winning ways, beating the lowly Miami Marlins today 1-0. And it kind of felt like forever since the last time the Mets won. And I'm like, when was the last time the Mets won? I guess because of the All-Star break, having lost 2 games in the interim, the Mets haven't won in almost 7 days. So that's why it felt like forever. But finally, back to winning ways. And today, you know, clap hands for Luis Severino because God forbid we gave up 2 or 3 runs. It would have been done. The bats still haven't woken up yet, so we're still waiting for the bats to wake up. But Luis Severino today, I give him all the credit in the world. He was hitting his spots. He was throwing 97, 98 miles per hour throughout the game. He was throwing straight gas. Jazz Chisholm still looking at some pitchers that I don't know. This guy was dotting the corners, and Luis Severino put us back on the map in terms of winning because, like I said, offense wasn't there. We had our opportunities throughout the game, but there were a couple situations that Severino had to come up big, had to dig down. One of the last ones in the 6th inning when Mendoza went to the mound with 2 outs. We thought he was all going to go to the bullpen. The bullpen, Budo thought he was coming in. He got psyched out. I could have just imagined that. I think Severino had 80-something pitches thrown. I could have just seen him going to the bullpen in that situation and the bullpen blowing it. Thank God he didn't. Luis Severino would bear down in the 6th inning and he would get through it. And basically, we went on to a simple 1-0 victory. The bullpen held it down. In the 8th inning, it became a little scary. Daniel Nunez, 2 guys got on base, ground balls through the hole. But luckily, Daniel got 3 strikeouts in the inning and was able to get out of it. Other than that, it was a pretty clean game. But we have to remember one thing. We're playing the Miami Marlins. The Miami Marlins, just so all of you get a good picture. We all know the Miami Marlins stink. They're 34-64. 30 games under 500, which is horrible. But in terms of what they do well and what they do bad, well, actually, they do mostly everything bad. They have 342 runs scored, and just comparing that to our New York Mets, we have 470. So that's plus 130 runs right there. In terms of runs against, 493 for the Miami Marlins. So they've let up 493. Their run differential is minus 151. That's almost the worst in baseball. Almost. I think they're tied for the 3rd worst run differential in baseball. So they don't hit well. They don't pitch well. This is the team you have to beat. Hands down, you have to beat. Now, we're going to go over some key moments in the game. Like I said, player of the game, hands down, has to be Luis Severino. Hands down. He did phenomenal. Let me get you the final stat line. I believe he had 7 strikeouts, but very, very solid game from Severino. Very solid game. The final line for Luis Severino was he pitched 6 innings, 2 hits, threw a 2-hitter, 3 walks, 7 strikeouts. And, if not for the 6th inning, if it was a little less shaky in the 6th inning and, he cruised through the 6th, he should have thrown 7 or 8 innings. So Luis Severino, went as long as he could. He was getting tired. He definitely did tire out, but overall, very good performance. Only allowed, like I said, 2 hits and 7 strikeouts. So that was extremely good from our man Luis. All right, so before I get into the game, I just want to address something really quick. So last game against the Miami Marlins, obviously we lost last game. It was 6-4, right? So, we didn't hit enough. We didn't pitch well enough. Minaya let up 5 runs. Another run was let up in the 8th inning by Daniel Nunez. Thus us allowing 6 runs and only scoring 4. Our offense wasn't as dynamic as normal. Usually would score around 6+ runs. whatever. It was the first game out of the All-Star break. Okay. So I said, you know, looking at that eighth inning yesterday and seeing Daniel Nunez come in, I made a comment that Daniel Nunez, despite him having a good 20 innings, you bringing him in the eighth inning doesn't really show that you have a strong bullpen. And I give Daniel all the credit in the world. He has been having a lights out. 20 innings this year, lights out. Nasty, filthy stuff. Nasty, filthy stuff, right? But our ultimate goal is to go to the playoffs, right? So that was my only observation, that if we're bringing out Daniel Nunez, a guy with only 20 major league innings of experience, if that's going to be the guy we rely on in high leverage situations when we're facing the Otanis, when we're facing Mookie Betts, when we're facing, World Series, Juan Soto, Aaron Judge. But you get it. We're facing the top hitters. Eighth inning is a very high leverage situation, right? Did Daniel might keep up this trajectory, but yesterday he failed against the Miami Marlins. He gave up a run. Today, despite striking out 3, he let 2 guys get on base, and he's not facing a dynamic lineup. He's facing one of the worst lineups in baseball, right? So that's all I was saying. I was saying not to kill the kid. I don't want to kill the kid. I'm just saying that, if Daniel is coming in the 6 or the 7, and we have 2 or 3 guys above him that are better or more experienced, I would feel more confident. Okay, so I was expressing that sentiment. And I like to involve everybody, and this is the comment that I got. And maybe I wasn't as clear yesterday. So one of the comments from one of our good members, and thank you so much for watching the video. And I don't blame you for saying this. So you're right. Nunez is our best reliever. What WTF are you talking about? Okay, so I just told you what I was talking about. I was expressing the fact if Nunez is our best reliever, we're in deep trouble. We're in deep trouble. If Nunez, who has 20 innings under his belt, is our best reliever, we are in deep trouble. That's what I was talking about. If I made it seem like Nunez isn't a top talent or isn't pitching, at a high level, that's not what I mean. If I express that I don't think he has a lot of potential or talent, that's not what I mean. I mean that the kid doesn't have a lot of major league experience, and if we are a playoff team, we need to have a guy who has shown you that he is experienced, because guys all the time, relievers have all these stretches where they have 10 innings or 20 innings, scoreless innings, and, they get hot and cold. I want a guy, when I get to the playoffs, that I can trust. Hopefully, Daniel Nunez steps up and he becomes that guy. But right now, I need a couple guys to at least take the stress off him right now. By the end of the year, if he's battle tested, that's a different story. Okay, but good take. I like that. I like those comments. Keep them coming. If I'm off base, please let me know. I want this to be interactive. We always have a lot of good commentary on this channel, and I love it. I could be wrong too. We have a lot of expert baseball fans here, so there's a wealth of knowledge in this community. So keep dropping the knowledge. Hit the like button, subscribe, do all the good stuff. Now let's get into a couple more key points of this game that we won 1-0. Okay, so let's go through a couple key points in the game. And when I knew that Severino was hot in the second inning, I believe it was 2 outs. He was pitching to D. Gordon, and he threw a nasty pitch on the outside corner that just kept D. Gordon. He was frozen. He was rung up, and he was frozen. But, before that, I'm like, this guy is hitting his location. And as soon as I said that, he dotted a ball on the outside corner, and D. Gordon didn't even hesitate. to not swing because he couldn't. It was just such a good pitch. And, in this game, I will comment on this. The ump was a little off. He was calling strikes 6 to 8 to 10 inches off the plate. So that's the type of thing you do if you're working and you're a good pitcher and you recognize that, you take advantage. So I like the way Severino was working the outside and inside corner and up in the zone because he was able to expand the zone, and that's what he did very, very well. In the third inning, what was pretty interesting when the Mets were up, and again, I was listening to the Miami Marlins broadcast. I always like to hear what the other teams' announcers are saying about us, and they were talking about Lindor. They were talking about Lindor, and they were ultra impressed. They were saying how Lindor basically transformed into the Cleveland Indians version Lindor, and they were saying how since he became a leadoff guy, now he's batting 300. But they also commented that also his OPS since July or since he became a leadoff guy is 980. Back in April, as noted by the Miami Marlins broadcasters, they said that it was like, I believe his OPS was in the mid sixes. So they basically referred to Lindor. They're like, Lindor was horrible in April. He was basically essentially a punch and Judy hitter in April. But you know what? We know Lindor is not a punch and Judy hitter. Obviously not. The big thing with Lindor, you'll notice, is that he's a guy, a hitter, that is extremely reliant on balance and weight transfer. When he's out in front or when he doesn't have a good powerful swing because he doesn't have that proper weight transfer, he just gets thrown off easy. He gets thrown off easy. But when you see him taking these big, powerful swings, even when he misses, even when he swings and misses or he fouls the ball back, you know he's on. Today he was balanced. You saw the hits that he got later in the game. He was taking pitches. Like Lindor has transformed. Because of balance and weight transfer. When I see the way he swings, like I said, even when he swings and misses, I know when he's on. You could see it. And clearly, ever since, if he changed something mechanically, if he changed a routine, since he became a leadoff guy, he is a different level player. So I give him all the credit in the world for that. Okay, so throughout the first couple innings, both pitchers were looking sharp. Both pitchers, even Munoz, even Munoz on the Marlins, who has control issues, he was looking sharp. Okay, let's see here. I take notes. I think I took about 12 pages of notes. All right, so in the top of the fourth inning, the Mets were up, and I was hoping that our man Alonso would come through, and he did. He smoked a double. It was deep to left center field, almost hits the wall, bounces at the warning track. Alonso gets to second base. At this time, the Miami Marlins broadcasters were telling us how I believe Alonso has 26 home runs against the Marlins, and that ties the Mets record because David Wright has 26 home runs against the Marlins as well. So Alonso, early in his career, has already tied the Mets record against the Marlins, who was held by David Wright. Okay, so then the next batter, Vientos, was hit by a pitch, so it's first and second. DJ Stewart was up. He worked the count, very good at bat. He ended up walking, so it's bases loaded. Francisco Alvarez up. He hits a ball. I don't know if he was hit that sharp, but it was hit with a good velocity. It was hit up the middle, and the shortstop flipped it up to second base. And since the bases were loaded, Alonso, who was at third, scored. So he got a double. He scored our only run. So Alonso, I gotta say, he was a big positive impact on our win. I always bash him for not having that impact. But, the reason why I bash Alonso is because, he wants to be paid like a superstar. Play like a superstar. Plain and simple. That's all. Easy as that. And then after that, this is where it's a lot of hard luck. So McNeil comes up, and for all of you who remember this, McNeil ripped a ball down the right field line. Josh Bell stuck out his glove and robbed the squirrel. that was the key point in the game, folks. I know the Mets ended up winning, but the Marlins were in this the whole time, right? We could have blown it out right then and there. 2 runs would have scored. It would have been 3-0. And, I mean, we need a lead with our bullpen situation. So I was a little nervous that ball didn't go through. The Squirrels having a little hard luck. The Squirrels having a little hard luck. You could see when they showed the replay that Josh Bell, was getting down in his stance. And like for all the young folks getting into baseball, it really shows the importance of getting set when the pitch is coming to the home plate. Because if Bell wasn't set, or if his momentum was going towards second base, or if he was standing straight up, that ball would have been a double. So hard luck to the Squirrel. But, I give him credit for continuing to hit the ball hard, coming off a phenomenal game yesterday where he hit 2 home runs, 3 RBIs, and he had that home run that he robbed Dela Cruz with. Okay, so much, really much after that, it was really, uh, you know, lack of offense, really. It was lack of offense. And I'm not really an old school guy. I like offense. I like home runs. I like seeing that. I like strikeouts when my pitchers are throwing them. But our offense definitely does have to get going. Okay. Our offense, like I said, does have to get going, but we did have moments where we hit the ball hard and they made the play. Like Josh Bell made the play from McNeil, even in the 5th inning when Lindor got on base, Nimmo walked, Martinez was up, JD Martinez. He literally hit a rope. He hit a bullet to third baseman. He hit a bullet to third baseman, and Lindor was doubled up. So another inning where we could have scored a couple more runs if that would have went through the left side. But again, their defense came up and made a nice play. So as long as we're hitting the ball hard, I believe the offense will come through. The 2 guys, most importantly, that I want to see get going, the 2 key cogs are going to be Vientos and Alvarez. Those two guys. I love the way they get the offense started. Now, I want to say something too. As I go to whatever notes that I do have, I want to comment. They had Jeff Nelson in the Miami Marlins broadcast. Jeff Nelson was a reliever for the New York Yankees when they were making their magical championship run in the late 90s. So they asked Jeff Nelson, what do you think about Luis Severino as opposed to when he was dominating in 2019 and this year? And what is the difference between him being successful and non-successful? So right away, he said that Luis Severino, and Jeff's been watching Luis his whole career. According to what he said that Luis is looking as good now as he did when he was dominating early in his career. That was good. That was one. And then they asked him, what do you think from you knowing Severino the best, what's made him successful? And he said, well, it's a couple of things. Number one, it's health, right? He's thrown more innings this year than the last couple of years. So that's good. That's always good. Number two, apparently he was falling in love with his cutter. And he would rely on his cutter ad nauseum. He said that was a problem. What he's doing now is he's leaning more on his fastball. He's locating his fastball. He's elevating the fastball. And he's saying if he eliminates and goes away from the cutter, in Jeff Nelson's opinion, that is what's been the key difference. Health and eliminating using the cutter a lot. So that's just his professional experience. I just wanted to mention that to you all because I felt that was a bit interesting. But, after that, it was pretty simple. Budo came in the 7th. In the 8th, you had to Daniel Nunez. Like I said, he gave up 2 hits, but struck out the side. And then Edwin Diaz came in for, pretty non-active ninth. But I'll say this. In the 7th, Budo coming in, and, he had a couple strikeouts that inning as well. He had 2 strikeouts. Guys like Budo right now are, having how they perform is extremely important because as we stand right now, Budo is an extremely important piece. We need to get Jose Budo, I don't want to say going, but at least, having him sustain success, having these, compiling these good outings time after time is going to be extremely, extremely important, especially until we get Edwin Diaz going. Like, it feels like our whole bullpen, we need to get them all going. So, the bullpen right now, how it stands, we got Edwin Diaz, Ottavino, Jake Dietman, Phil Matone, we just got to Daniel Nunes, Jose Budo, Danny Young. So that's who we have right now on the active roster. So not very impressive. Not very impressive right now. But like I've been saying to everybody, this is where David Stearns has to earn his money. Earn your $10 million or $11 million. I don't care what you need to do. Make it happen. Make it happen. Obviously, we don't want to give up a lot of value. We don't want to have any financial responsibility or large financial responsibility going towards 2025 and 26, unless you get us an extreme stud. But, I'm not sure if that's going to happen. Although we do have some baseball. I'm working on a couple of videos about from some of our members. I'll mention that again, involving some pretty big pieces. One of the trades involving Gary Crochet from the Chicago White Sox. I'm just going to evaluate that because that's one of the trades that our good member recommended. Okay, so at the end of the day, it was a 1-0 victory. We're 1-1 right now in the Marlins series, and we got to take the game tomorrow. Obviously, we have to take series against lowly opponents like the Marlins, especially if we want to make the run that we intend to make. We are in obviously the second wild card spot. Let me just double check to see if anything else changed. So the wild card situation right now, we're 50-47. St. Louis is actually tied with us. So St. Louis is tied with us at 50-47. We're 4.5 games behind the Atlanta Braves. They won today as well. They are on a 2-game winning streak. The St. Louis Cardinals are on a 2-game losing streak. The Diamondbacks, they're half game behind us for the last wild card spot. Then the Pittsburgh Pirates, they are 1 game out. Then the San Diego Padres. So you got 3 games. You got 3 teams within a game and a half right behind us in the wild card chase. So it's very important for us to take these series against teams that we know we can beat. So I'm going to expect us to win tomorrow. And actually, let me double check. I want to predict exactly what we're going to do in the next week. Hopefully everybody's doing well. I appreciate everybody watching the videos. It does mean a tremendous amount to me. Like, you really don't know. New York Mets. New York Mets. New York Mets. Okay, so oh wow, very rare. So I guess it's because of the All-Star game. So we're playing today. Okay, so it's a 4-game series against the Marlins. So we're playing them on Monday. So we have a 4-game series. Okay, here's the thing. Right now, we're playing the Marlins 4 games. I thought it was just a 3-game series. Win the next 2 games against the Marlins. Taking 3 out of 4 will make everything feel a lot better. Then we have 2 games against the Yankees, and we have 4 games against the Braves. So let's look at this. So realistically, let's take 1 game against the Yankees, 2 games against the Braves. So 1 and 2. Then you're going to go 2 and 4. So that is 3 and 6. So you go 500 against those 2 games, those 2 teams, and then you're going to get 3 games from the Marlins. So essentially, in these 2 series, 4 games, we're going to go So we would go 6-4 against essentially the Yankees, the Braves, and the Marlins. If we take 3 out of 4 from the Marlins, that's going to be the key. And 6-4 isn't impressive. Those would be our first 10 games at the All-Star break. And remember, folks, these are games leading into the trade deadline, right? Leading into the trade deadline. So we're still proving to ownership, we're still proving to David Stearns that the best decision is to buy. We're still proving that the best decision is to buy. So it's very, very important for us to at least go 6-4. I would love if we take at least 3 games from the Braves or 4 games from the Braves. I would love it. I would love to sweep the Yankees. So, that's my minimum. That's my minimum. Minimum go 6-4. Minimum go 6-4. I would love 7-3. I would love 8-2. But I'm just trying to be realistic here. Just trying to be realistic. All right. So let me know what you think right now. How you feeling about things? If you have any trade ideas, let me know. If you have any suggestions or any other ideas, drop them in the comment section. If you hear this long, you gotta you gotta subscribe. I know this was a bit of a longer video, but I had to go through my notes. And I didn't really have time. Usually I'll try to condense it, but I'm like, you know what? Let's just go. If it's a bad video, I apologize. All right, well, thank you again. Have a great day. I appreciate you, and I will speak to you soon.